welcome to the Grants Subcommittee meeting, which is the last of this triennium. So who knows who'll be around the table after October 11. So, housekeeping notes. Oh yeah, let me know if you're going to leave earlier. I'm hoping we all leave early because, by the way, I'm just a heads up, but I'll repeat it. We will take all papers as read. Thank you, Terry, for the tip. Morning tea will be at 10:30 or possibly departure. Let's see how we go. It's not that I don't want to have a really good meeting, it's just I don't think we should spend unnecessary time and officer time, which is more expensive than ours. So we'll just start with the karakia. Terry, if you'd like to lead on it, please.
Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hi aki ana te ata kura, he tio, he huka, he hau, tihei, mauri ora.
Excellent. Right, apologies. So we have an apology from the Mayor who's online. She's texted me, so we know that. And I think, is Nikau coming in remotely?
Apparently.
Right, okay. Good. All right. So apologies. Those are our apologies. I move the motion. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Holden.
We don't need to move apologies because it's technically...
Okay, so we won't do the apologies after all. Okay, could you please declare any conflicts of interest that you may have? Well, that's silence. So, confirmation of the minutes, I move the motion. I'll take that as read. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Now I put the motion that has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please press 1. 2, if you don't like it, and... Do you want to just put your hand up in the meantime? So I declare it carried. So all items are on the agenda. We do have an amendment which is coming up. That's a little bit later. So first of all, we have public participation. So first of all, we have 3 public participants. First of all, I'd like to welcome Lee Rohina August. Welcome. So you have 10 minutes.
Ai, ātamaria ki a tātou. Tuhia ki te rangi, tuhia ki te whenua, tuhia ki te wai, tuhia ki ngā tāngata katoa. Tūturu whakamaua kia tīna, tīna. Haumi e hui e tae ki e. Ai, ātamaria ki a koutou, nā mema me nā kaimahi o tēnei kaunihera o Pōneke, tēnei te mihi atu hā ki a koutou katoa I tēnei ata tino o rawe, ko tēnei te wāhanga o koanga, nō reira nau mai hara mai ki tēnei wāhanga. O tira ki a tātou nā whakaro e pāna ki tēnei kaupapa, tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou, o tira ki a koe e te whananga, tēnei te mihi aroha ki a koutou katoa. Morena ki a koutou, good morning everybody. Thank you for seeing me yet again. I'm starting to become one presenters at most, but thank you for having me here today to present on our kaupapa about cultural health monitoring. I wanted to just note for you and acknowledge your support of our kaupapa for maramataka that you supported in 2024 that proposed 6 maramataka wānanga across this year, and I'm really pleased to tell you that we have now completed 4 of those wānanga, the last one being this past weekend at Te Raukaramu. And as you know, focus on the taiao or the environment and those things we serve. So in building on that whakaaro for us, or that thinking, when we think about cultural health monitoring, it's a really long-held moemoea or dream for us, much like the maramataka. And you've seen Taranaki Wānui monitoring with other people and other kaupapa. But the premise of this is for us to lead our own kōrero and to lead our own kaupapa from our eyes and from the ways we see it, as uri of Taranaki, as mana whenua, as Māori. So for us, wanting to monitor in the kaiwarawara and bring things together, such as our tiro or our observations that we've been learning through maramataka, also thinking about what's right for us from a cultural perspective. It might be about manu, it might be about our kāinga, it is about our ika and those things that depend on our awa to survive. And for us as kaitiaki of Taranaki Wānui, we take that seriously. We also take seriously the thought of how we can do better. Can we use natural fibres instead of plastics in that awa when we're monitoring? So to date we have tried things such as taukoda, whakaweku, using natural fibres plaited together as fish passage, also to capture ika to be able to count, to understand what's in our awa. But importantly for us, there is so much going into that awa that we need to be able to use our voices to figure out how we resolve the issues that have been, that we see to this day. And thinking about our kaumātua, our tupuna that have been here before us, and the things that happened on that very important site of Kaiwarawara. As you know, we have a kāinga there, although not visible to our eyes, still there in our hearts and still very important to us. We want to make sure, again, that we make the decisions that are right for us from our lens, from our place as Taranaki Wānui, from the descendants of what we consider our original tupuna here in Te Whanganui-a-Tara, noting those that came before us. We want to refine our tiro or our observations we are making in the maramataka at the moment. Of course, as we know, the Kaiwarawara is a very unique awa here in Te Whanganui-a-Tara, the only one still discharging into the moana, the only one that has a puaha or an estuary that we can continue to care for, and for us these things are really important. In our recent monitoring, what we've found is tuna are coming in, but more importantly, they are going out. And to us, that means that as kaitiaki, we need to work harder and together with community groups such as Trilisic Park, such as Te Maratāne, the Kauni Hera, to ensure that together we're trying to protect this place. What a cultural health monitoring program for us means is we're building on years of whakaaro, of kōrero, of thinking, of talking, of doing. But what this does is it sets a fit-for-purpose monitoring plan that we can follow, that we can test, and that we can move around our rohe to help other awa, because we know that once there's a place that order comes in, there's also a place that it goes out. So how do we share this knowledge around? So in supporting this for Taranaki Wānui, you would allow us to again test some of these theories, but to bring our uri in to train them, bring our tamariki in to train them, to have us there visible as Taranaki Wānui on our whenua. So I'm very grateful again for your time today, for your consideration of our application, and to know that as Taranaki Wānui, we do need this help at this time to be able to bring our people together to train them in the right way. We also need the help of our whānau that continue to support us, such as Mountains to Sea Wellington, people that are helping to train us and ensure that our practices are right. But more importantly for us and within our hearts is thinking about the vision that our tupuna left for Te Whanganui-a-Tara, and those of ourselves that are here today, like myself, my cousin Holden, is thinking about how we uphold that dream. So, kia koutou mā, thank you so much for your consideration and for your time today. Ngā mihi atu kia koutou. Kia
Lee,
ora.
thank you. We have a couple of questions. First of all, from Pauiwi Holden Huhira.
Kia ora.
E te whanaunga kānui te mihi atu kia koe o tira kia koutou, mō tā koutou mahi miharo. Just one quick question. The wānanga that were held, will there be an opportunity to kind of share the kōrero that's come from that wānanga more widely with whānau and hapori?
Absolutely. That's definitely our intention, and we keep growing these wānanga. So every wānanga we find new wānau arrive and become engaged, but we're also thinking about those that couldn't make it here. How do we share the kōrero? And there's been some beautiful kōrero captured.
Thank you. So now a question from Councillor Tim Brown.
Thank you. I was just wondering how you're monitoring the condition of the stream, how do you interact with the regional council? Because as I understand it, they are the ones who are primarily responsible for the water condition. And I'm very interested in this issue of regulation of fresh water. And so how does that work between yourselves and them? And what deficiencies do you identify in the way they're doing it versus where you're filling in the gaps?
Kia ora. Thank you for your pātai. We've got a long-standing relationship with Te Pane Matuataia, with the Konihira. And for us, really, Councillor, this is about us being able to bring our skill sets to the same conversation, because often what we're being told is this is the best way to do it. Here is the plan, and do it our way. For us, it's wanting to be able to add our value to the same discussion and say these are the values according to mana whenua, Taranaki Wānui, Uri, Māori, Rangatahi. And this gives us the opportunity to build that skill set as a collective, rather than us doing it how we've been doing across the years, rather piecemeal with different parts of us. So for us, it's intentional, and it, for us, also provides a baseline of information that Taranaki Wānui can use in order to consider what's right for us in terms of restoration of that awa. We do recognise the councils that look after these places, but as kaitiaki, we believe we have a responsibility to do the same. Kia ora.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Lee, thank you very much for coming today. It's good to see you again. Probably see you, some of us, if we get re-elected.
See you tomorrow. Ngā mihi atu kia koutou. Kia ora.
So the next public participant is Ben. Is it Gleisner?
Yep, that's right.
Great, thank you. From Kogo. Thank you.
Mōrena tātou, ki te mahi aho, ki te kai whakahaere mātua o Kogo. I'm founder and CEO of Kogo. Want to say, firstly, thanks. Back in 2010, the council, I can't remember the name of the grants committee, but the grants committee gave $5,000 to the organisation that you see here today, and that $5,000 we have over the last 15 years brought around $35 million of investment into the city and revenues. I've hired more than 100 people through that $5,000, and in some ways, part of what I want to talk about today is how we'd like to see, as a ratepayer and as a Wellingtonian, proud Wellingtonian, that the money that's put into organisations that get funding are ultimately organisations that can take that funding and turn it into something quite significant. And there is a criteria around in the fund in terms of self-sufficiency, and that, in my mind, sometimes gets challenged. And looking over the last few years at different applicants, where a lot of money does go to charities and small non-profits, which I was once a proud sort of founder of. But I think what Kogo's been able to demonstrate over the last 15 years is that we've been able to turn a small amount of money into something that ultimately sustains and creates real impact. So it was a little disappointing. I'm not here to sort of relitigate, and I don't expect any change in the decision, but that after 15 years later, we come back to look for some more funding, that we've been able to demonstrate the impact we've had over the last 15 years, and we're told that we were not meeting the criteria. And I guess thinking back on the criteria, and there were a few other things which we can talk about, but on the criteria, I think one of the things that I was, and I've been really keen to demonstrate, I used to work down the road at the Treasury, so I spent 7 years in central government looking at, cost of living, looking at how we can ensure good use of public funds. And I guess one of the key criteria that I see in this fund that really is the essential one is measurable emission reductions. We have declared a crisis here as a city on climate, and from an economics cost sort of dimension as well as a climate dimension, it's really important that I think money that's being used is used in ways that do result in measurable reductions in emissions. And what we put forward as a platform in Kogo is actually built for that particular purpose, which is to measure how much actual reductions are being delivered through the tool. There's some questions, and I won't speak more than a couple more minutes, so we've got time to hear those questions. But I guess what we'd like to be able to make a case for as well, alongside what we do on reductions of emissions, is we're doing those reductions in emissions in ways that actually reduce cost to ratepayers. So in short, we help households and we help people that drive cars. Now, We can say what we want about the climate change and wanting to solve it by getting people on bikes and buses, we obviously want, but the majority of people still are using cars. I have a car, I'm sure most of us have cars. So we need to get people out of petrol cars into electric vehicles ultimately. That's the thing that'll sort of really put a dent in the emissions that the city has. And overall, the city has two big focus areas in terms of your emissions. It's private transport and it's homes. So what we need to do is help homeowners, people that live in houses, and also those in cars to get out of those vehicles into electric vehicles, get them out of gas heating into electric heating. To do that, though, you also deliver cost savings. So work that was done by Rewiring Aotearoa and backed up by ICA and the evidence we've got now in New Zealand with 25,000 homes using our product is that people will on average save around $3,000 a year in their electricity and fuel bills by shifting to electric machines. And I think ultimately these are things that don't just drive those carbon reductions, they also drive savings to those households and car owners. But more importantly, they drive economic activity in the city as well. And so what we're trying to make a case for is solutions like Kogo can be used by the likes of the Ngaio Croft and Gowns organisation as tools to actually support actual measurable reductions in emissions, not just talk about it and have events, which are all important things to do. But ultimately, if we're going to see the reductions that you've set as a target for the city, we need catalytic platforms like Kogo. So I appreciate the time and happy to hear questions.
Thank you very much, Ben. Are there any questions? Oh, sorry, Tim. Councillor Tim Brown.
I mean, it seems to me that this isn't really a fund for supporting commercial businesses. It's an observation. But I mean, what is your source of revenue? I mean, if you've got 25,000 customers, why do you need our money to support you if presumably these are your customers and that you're saving them $3,000 a year?
Sure, yeah. We don't charge the customers any money, so the households don't get any. They don't get charged, so it's a free tool. So that's the first thing. So we are economically viable through investment. So we're not like we're not profit making as a company. We're actually losing money, and so this funding would not only help us sustain the business, it would also support us to focus in on Wellington. So yes, we've got a global business. We're in 5 countries around the world, but business as usual for Kogo is not let's go hard out in Wellington and show what can be done. So what we're looking for is funding to support a Wellington-focused activity that, back to the point of the fund and back to the point of what we're trying to achieve here in Council, is to support in cost-effective ways emissions being reduced. And I think that's what we want to bring to you as an idea of like, it might be non-traditional, it might not be a business type venture, as you said, that doesn't get funded, but if you want things to be funded that will self-sustain, businesses aren't a bad idea to start.
Thank you very much. Now I have one more question from Deputy Mayor Laurie Foon.
Ben, I'm actually asking this on behalf of Councillor Brown, but what is your unique, proposition here? Because I think we're understanding there are a lot of tools on the market. Yeah. So what's differing what you're talking about? What you're asking for here?
Sure. I mean, we've built this, again, 15 years on of learning. We've built, I mean, ironically, you see in front of you with Kogo the best product in the world of its kind, which is if we're going to solve climate change, we need households and car owners to reduce emissions. And so we've won contracts all around the world. We've got a great platform. It's built here in Wellington. And the irony is that it's just not being used in Wellington that much. So I suppose what differentiates us, ICA has a tool, it's a free tool. Who knows what central government are up to? I don't. But they may probably pull funding, I imagine, at some point. So I don't think we should rely on central government to solve this. They're definitely not looking to bring new costs. And the product itself from ICA is more of a sort of information tool, not an actual facilitation tool. And then Rewiring Aotearoa, another great organisation we work with. They originally did a pilot with ASB, and then we've actually been given that contract to work with ASB now going forward. So Rewiring Aotearoa is saying to us, we're not here to build tools, you're the technology company, you've got this expertise. So I think we are quite uniquely positioned as a sort of catalyst for this climate change effort in a way that saves money, as I said, and drives economic activity.
Thank you, Ben.
Ben, thank you very much. That's very helpful. And thank you for coming in.
No
it's
problem.
appreciated.
Yeah, all good.
We now have 1/3 public participant who's online, and that's Alicia Hall from Parents for Climate Aotearoa. Alicia, welcome.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Apologies for not being there in person. I have a meeting after this, so I'm awkwardly sitting in my car. Ko Alicia Toko Ingoa. I'm founder and director of Parents for Climate Aotearoa and Let's Talk Climate. I'm approaching you today in hopes that you'd be willing to reconsider the recommendation to decline our application. We understand and appreciate how challenging this decision is, and there are many incredible projects up for approval. We also fully, obviously, support the iwi and Māori-led applications up for approval. Today we're going to bat for ours for many reasons that I'll discuss, and would happily accept even partial funding to get our new and improved program out there. We're not typically ones to talk ourselves up. We'd rather just get on with the mahi. However, literally thousands of unpaid hours and research has gone into developing our program, and there is a strong appetite from schools and parents to deliver it to their communities. We are a uniquely run organisation led by a climate scientist, Dr. Olivia Hyatt, and a social researcher, myself, who take a holistic, solution-focused approach to climate change in our communities. I could bombard you with data and figures, however, that's not our style. We're all here today because we recognise that regardless of who we are and where we come from, we have a shared problem, which is climate change. And as parents, from the moment our children come into our lives, it's been our number one job to love and protect them, to raise good human beings. And we don't always get that right, and we balance our worries about their future with raising them right now. And collectively as parents, we aren't making the best climate-friendly choices for a myriad of reasons. So after our pilot project, I took 18 months off to undergo an applied research project as part of my master's to understand what the barriers, challenges and enablers were to parental engagement with climate change. Outcomes from the project were to develop tailored interventions and support for parents to engage with and take action, from parent climate cafes to how to talk with your kid workshops to whānau-oriented climate actions, how we move around, what we eat, buy, wear, to how we use energy, etc. So due to this research and our learnings from the pilot project, we've since adapted our Let's Talk Climate workshops and events to partner with school communities and early education providers to reach parents where they are at. Parents and teachers are deeply concerned about their young people and are eager to be supported to not only talk with their children and young people about climate change, but what they can do about it as a family to take action together in their local community and beyond. So our program strongly supports intergenerational, long-lasting, meaningful, sustainable action and change. And parents and caregivers are the key decision makers in their households and hold large buying power. We are stepping out of the climate space into the communities in which parents and caregivers belong to deliver our evidence-based, well-researched program to them. Our key audience hold broad demographics, are cross-societal, cross-partisan, and want to be equipped and resourced to make good decisions collectively. We've already committed to working with Wellington High School with their Year 9 families on the upcoming Climate Justice Unit in Term 4. We'll also be holding professional development workshops with their teachers. And there are approximately 300 Year 9 families at Wellington High. Across the city, there are 74 state schools, 33 kindergartens, 165 early childhood centres, 13 play centres, and 104 privately owned childcare providers. Through the sheer amount of families alone that we could work with, we strongly believe that our program can and will deliver tangible and measurable emissions reductions throughout the city and move beyond the echo chamber into the lives of everyday Wellingtonians. For example, I live behind Marketer School, which my youngest attends, and often I reflect that would be perfect for solar panels on the roof, which accesses the sun all day long, to not only become more energy efficient, but to also strengthen community response and resilience in the case of earthquakes and extreme weather events. Another piece of work that parents could be involved with there is advocating for a school bus run to accommodate the Karori students whom the school relies on to keep open, which would reduce the volume of cars going up and down the hill considerably. These are just two examples in one school out of 389 education providers alone that can substantially contribute to reducing emissions community-wide. My master's research showed that trust, whānau-friendly home and community climate projects, reliable education, and the removal of systemic barriers are key to taking action on climate change in the home and in the community. One parent told me they hit a wall with sustainable choices as their kids got too big for the cargo bike, and they found themselves transitioning back to a car more and more. Even parents I interviewed involved in the climate space still won't let their kids bike to school unless safe infrastructure is in place. And many indicated across the board that they don't engage with council because they don't feel they'll be listened to. Their ideology often trumps community-led decisions. There's growing mistrust in media, climate groups, decision makers, which contributes even further to climate confusion and inaction. And this is likely a deeply unpopular opinion. I'm going to say it anyway. We have a big problem in Wellington with echo chambers, perceived polarisation, talking past each other, and people are switching off. We seem to be bypassing one of the biggest cohorts of people that have the potential to make a serious impact on emissions reduction in favour of those already converted. Parents are also one of the most under-researched. So to sum up, our learnings and research highlight the crucial need for tailored support for parents navigating climate change, including creating inclusive and accessible parent-led community spaces, providing reliable information and educational resources, tangible actions that they can take, especially to remove barriers and challenges to climate action, and offering emotional support to manage climate anxiety and build resilience in themselves and their whānau. One of the teachers at Wellington High shared that they are deeply concerned that they've got students coming to them talking about not having children in the future and feeling extremely anxious. So to end on a personal note, resilience and adaptation to climate change is a growing issue and worry, and we have first-hand experience with climate impacts with members of our team experiencing the 2023 Auckland floods and Cyclone Gabrielle. In recent years, Olivia has experienced multiple floods and a fire made more damaging by climate change, and as we speak is on her family farm fixing flood damage from the latest event in the Tasman region. So we are well placed to combine climate and social science with real-life experiences to help whānau in a way that builds resilience, trust and community with tangible action on emissions reductions. So Parents for Climate, Aotearoa, is uniquely placed to bridge different worlds that bring people and communities together to work on a shared goal to leave the world a better place for our children. So I thank you for your time and consideration and happy to take questions.
Any questions? Oh, are there any questions? Any questions? No. So I'm looking at the screen. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us today. And that's that. No questions. Okay. So thank you. So now we come to general business, and we're starting off with the Climate and Sustainability Fund. Please welcome Ben McMenamin and Anna Blomqvist to introduce the report, which I will take as read.
Kia ora koutou, Madam Chair, Mea whānau, councillors and pauiwi. My name is Anna Blomqvist. I'm the Community Climate Action Manager in our Climate Change Response Business Unit, and this is...
Kia ora, ko Ben McMenamin tōku ingoa.
We're here to present the Climate and Sustainability Fund paper. The mahi that this paper represents contributes to Council's goals of reducing our city emissions, as outlined in Te Atakura, and it helps support people with the same kaupapa as Council to achieve our mutual goals as a city. This round we have seen an increase in the number and quality of applications. We received 29 applications asking for over $1 million in funding for the $250,000 available. And this is an increase from 19 applications last year. We have a subject matter expert panel that assesses each application, as officers work quite hard with the organisations to prepare their applications, and the external panel is measuring and assessing applications on impact, scalability and legacy. They come to a consensus through a moderation process, and they are recommending 7 applications to be funded, which are outlined in the paper before you. These recommendations are based on highest impact and diversity across climate action, including te ao Māori, food, community, transport and business. This means that the fund would be fully allocated this round. We'll take the paper as read and happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Deputy Mayor Foon?
Yeah, just a couple. Just when we talked about highest impact, I just want to hear maybe from the two public submissions that we've had this morning from COGO and Parents for Climate. What is the reason why these two projects haven't been suggested for getting the funds application in particular?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Ultimately, both applications were really great, and it just came down to the fact that we had more applications than we can fund, and that these didn't score as highly as others.
Okay.
So, Councillor Tim Brown?
Just in the same vein, actually, I'm kind of curious as to how you did end up recommending Everybody Eats over using COGO as an example, because I mean, Everybody Eats, is it really actually about emission reduction as opposed to what COGO were talking about, which obviously is directly related to emission reduction? I mean, how did you actually weight the two things?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. When the panel were making their assessments, they were looking for a diverse array across climate action areas. The Everybody Eats application targets on plant-based diets, which is a high-impact emissions reduction approach, and so they found that was worth recommending.
Deputy Mayor Fuden?
Yeah, I think how are we going to tell the stories of the outcomes of these projects that we're funding? Because I think, it'd be just great to know how we're going to do that.
Yeah, thank you. We did do a project this year where we are doing case studies on 15 of the applications that have been successful historically. So we've got beautiful photography and copy for that we'll be putting up on the website and sharing those widely. We also have an info hub which we are developing, which is designed to share the stories of these projects.
Just one more question. Just noting the COGO application and then looking at the Ngaio community, I guess it's just the measurement, I think, the city would want to see. Is there an opportunity for these two projects to work together where you've got a community that's willing with a tool that can actually measure?
Yeah, we can definitely explore that, yes.
Great, thank you.
So, any further questions?
Probably just of the amendment,
I thought we moved the amendment in here later.
We can do either questions on the amendment now or...
Okay, so can we have the amendment up on the screen, please? So the amendment is from Deputy Mayor Foon. Now, are there any questions on the amendment?
Well, I'd like to... Yes, sorry.
No, Councillor Brown.
So what do you think of this? I mean, is it, how much of a distraction is this, if you like, or different to what you would normally be contemplating at the best of times?
We're very happy to work with COGO on this workshop. We support any organisation that will help us achieve our goals of emissions reduction.
Do people normally, these sort of situations, how many of the people who have actually got through have sat down with yourselves before they put an application in? I mean, this is kind of a common practice, the kind of workshopping before they put their applications in?
Yes, so officers typically meet with all applicants before they put in their application. We work with them to develop that so that it does have the highest impact. And we work throughout the year with a range of climate action organisations, so this would be counted as BAU for us.
Oh, sorry, I've just got one...
Permission granted, Councillor Brown.
Sorry, yes, through the chair. Obviously, we've spent all our money, so when's the next allocation of funding under this particular grant allocation? Is it a year away?
Yes.
So, okay.
We're now going to have a question from our Chief Operating Officer. Oh, well, you know exactly who he is.
Team.
Sorry.
Excuse me, team. Do we need a resolution from council in order to do this, or is this really just part of BAU?
I would consider this BAU for the team. Yep, the there's a team of 3, and the Climate Sustainability Fund is part of their mahi, but it's not the whole of their mahi.
So, Deputy Mayor Foon, do you still want to have this as an amendment if it's BAU?
I would, because I actually would like this as a measurable
Sure.
action on record, please.
So could we just have a 2-minute break?
Certainly. Yeah.
Um, 8 minutes past 10. So, is there a mover for the motion? It's going to be moved, I understand, by Po Iwi Holden Hohira. And do I ask if he wants to speak now? Is that what I say? Do you want to speak now? Over to you.
Kia ora, Chair. Yes, I'm delighted to move this paper. Just want to make a couple of points. First of all, I want to thank Anna and Ben for all their work on this one. I've got to say, it is a really tough job when you've got a fund that's oversubscribed by the rate of $4 to every dollar that's available. Yeah. But what I've heard is that there's a robust process in place, and that the final kind of selection strikes a good balance between those two objectives of highest impact and diversity. And it's great to see a couple of kaupapa Māori initiatives in there as well. So happy to move the paper.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Oh.
Yep, I will.
It's a voice from afar. So, Councillor Wanira, you'd like to second it?
Yes, please.
Sorry, just a clarifying question through the chair. Did we want to clarify that the amendment is being moved as a part of the
sorry, I
substantive?
muttered it, but I didn't tell you.
No,
Yes.
that's okay.
We are incorporating the amendment into the substantive. Cool. Sorry, apologies. Councillor Wanira, you'd like to second it? Would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Is there any debate? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, kia ora, and once again, thanks to everybody for the mahi on this fund. I think I just want to speak in support of the amended substantive, particularly motion 3. I think, thank you, Mr. Gleesner, for making a good case this morning. I think the main thing is one of the things this fund, we've got a lot of uptake from so many great communities, as we can see. But what is interesting about the Kogo model is the measurement and how it is a way that can help Wellingtonians save money, as well as working with a lot of these organisations. And so that is why I want to see our officers to keep working with this model, because if there's an opportunity that we can really, if you like, double down through all the organisations with a measurement tool, this is a big opportunity for our city, which will have influence across the nation and across the world. So I am just asking for your support on that, but thank you for the challenge and the questioning, and just thanks to all the applicants for their mahi. Thank you.
Have I asked if there's any debate? I have asked that, haven't I? Sorry, Councillor Brown.
Just an observation that it's very difficult voting for or against any of this, because of course the amount of information we get is not very great unless we're willing to go and do a lot of additional work. I do feel, and this is directed at officers, that some of the reporting that we get on the effectiveness of the funding after the fact is actually not quite up to scratch. I mean, it strikes me that, I'm obviously at the end of my 3 years on this panel, and this is my last one, but I've consistently felt that actually, mostly I've voted in favour of funding because I've actually respected the management teams or the staff's, engagement, and I think I'm backing really staff. But I would really like there to be more reporting after the fact, basically, about whether these things worked, especially as there are often times, as we've just had mentioned during the presentations before, there are very similar projects, if you like. And I note that just for that point, that it strikes me that 2.6 sounds very similar to the one for parents for climate, Aotearoa, and that's something which I would be really interested to know in due course, how effective that actually was in achieving its designs. So just an observation, really. But I do think management put a lot of time and energy into these projects, and I always feel I'd have to have a really compelling reason to actually disagree with recommendations. So, good on you guys for doing the hard yards, basically.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Oh, Terry, sorry, Councillor O'Neill.
Just really briefly to point out, I've had the privilege of being on the CCS panel as well, and it's made me a bit more well versed with the system of flux, and I don't know if y'all have spotted that in your inbox, but that is kind of the funding portal that a lot of applicants and our officers go through, and in there you can see really detailed information about what parts of the criteria we're assessing per application, and to note, Mark's been pretty diligent in making sure that it gets emailed out to us well ahead of the grants meeting. So just to flag that's there if people wanted more information. Aye.
Poiwi Hohira, would you like the right of reply? Great. So, I now put the motion which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please press 1. Those against, press 2. Right, that's unanimous. Terrific. Thank you very much. And thank you to the officers for all the work. I know, I do go into flux. It took me a while to crack into it, but, there was so much information, so thank you. Oh. Where are you going to? Yes, Ben, sorry, I didn't realise that. Thank you for all your work. Do you know where you're going, or are you just flying? Okay. 12 months before that heat kicks in. Ben, thank you very much for all your help. And good luck.
Thank you.
She's in the building. Right, we come to the Arts and Culture Fund. Tim, would you like to second it?
Sure. It's just Stephen.
Yep. So I'd just like to welcome Stephen to introduce the report, which I will take as read.
Kia ora koutou. Apologies, first of all, from Gisela Carr, who's bedridden with the flu that's doing the rounds here at Taiwi. The report that we're presenting today is the part of the framework, the Arts and Culture Funding Framework that was approved by Council back in May, and this is the first of the annual stability grants that we proposed under that new framework. It was by invitation only, so there are no declines, and the criteria for the organisations and groups that we invited to apply to this fund were based on a track record of consistency around receiving of funds from Council over a period of a number of years and being able to deliver those projects. And then looking at their delivery across an annual year's program, because they have to be about activating the city across an entire year's program before they could be considered for the fund. So all 25 organisations that we're recommending today have achieved that. They also had to achieve at least 2 of the Ahutini strands as a priority part of the focus of their work. And of those that applied, 15 aligned strongly to the Ahu Tangata focus of Ahutini, and 21 aligned strongly to the Ahu Mahi, 8 aligned strongly to the Ahu Whenua focus, and 6 aligned to the Ahu Hononga focus within Ahutini's art strategy. The level of funding was also set based on the levels of funding they've received over the past 3 years as an average. So we analysed all the funding they've received from Council from various funding streams and then averaged it per year over a 3-year period. And that's the level of funding that we've actually put forward to you today in these recommendations. Any pātai?
Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Brown.
How did you select the people to invite?
It was based on our initial analysis of the sector under Ahutini and looking at them graded against the criteria that we talked about some 3 years ago about cornerstone, threshold and lintel organisations. So this was looking at those that were, the cornerstones tend to be the multi-years. The threshold and lintel ones are the ones that are either just beginning to establish themselves with a good track record of annual program or national focus, and the threshold ones are the new emerging organisations within that mix.
Any further questions? Laurie, you always look as though you're about to ask me a question. Sorry. So I will move the paper. Councillor Brown, would you like to second the paper? So I'll just say very briefly. So I did go into flux over the weekend. It was such a fun-filled thing to do. But it's actually really, really interesting, and I do appreciate all the work that goes into looking at these organisations. There was one that I was a little concerned about, which was the Opera Trust's selection of its opera, Manon, which has 5 acts, but and is a bit of a long opera. However, they are doing a truncated version, and it will be actually slightly shorter than a masked ball. So that fear was allayed because 5 hours, you know, like next I'll be doing Wagner, which I've always vowed I'd never do. So there we go. So back to seconder. Councillor Brown, would you like to speak?
Just to mention that the New Zealand Opera is putting on a 1-hour production next weekend, so in Wellington.
Perfect length.
Monster in the Maze. So if you want a short opera, and it's only $45, so that's a good alternative to the 5-act one.
I think it
just so you know.
I think it clashes with a candidates meeting, but
there's 2. It's on Friday evening or
probably both the same.
Sunday lunchtime.
I'll look into it. Oh, that's church.
Yeah. But hey, well done, guys. Well done. I think this is a great bit of work.
So, is there any debate? Councillor Foon, Deputy Mayor Foon.
Same. Highly recommend the iGum Festival going on and down venues, our live venues up and down Cuba Street. So if we're plugging for gigs, that's a good one.
Any other plugging going on, councillors? No, okay. Right of reply? No right of reply. Other than I just would say, reiterate the enormous amount of work. And Stephen, I know people really enjoy dealing with you in the arts sector because you know your stuff and you're very good to deal with. So thank you for that. And thank you to everybody else. So that's appreciated. So I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please press 1, blah, blah. Great. I declare the motion carried. So we now get on to the... Am I doing something wrong?
No, you're good. Just Mark and Sahai.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Oh, here are some familiar faces. So please welcome Mark Farah and Sahai Orgad? Orgad. I never use your surname.
That's the short version as well.
Okay, well, we'll go with that. To introduce the report, which I will take as read.
Kia ora, councillors. I'm going to kick off just to talk to this report, just to mention a few things. Obviously, it's the last grants paper of the triennium, so that's exciting. And it's the first time we've come to you with a decision paper for Tahua Whaihua Hapori, the Community Outcomes Fund. So you might recall that you approved the funding framework for that. I think it's important to emphasise that the fund itself is in a transition year, so we're moving from the old Social and Recreation Fund to this new fund with very clear priorities set. So the two priorities are around community resilience and safety. Sahai's going to talk a little bit more to safety. The majority of the fund is spent on 49 organisations, so that's something like 87% of the fund. There's quite a complicated breakdown of all the sort of rats and mice of all the different things in there, which includes the Tawa Community Grants Fund, sports funding and all those other things. So I suppose the main message is we have 49 organisations, and then what's left is what we're sort of managing through this process here. We deliberately left some money for the new triennium, so we're not spending all the money because there's obviously a whole year to go, really, and the start of a triennium. I think it's important to emphasise that the additional funding for safety, so you might recall there was an additional $500,000. There's only 20,000 of that being recommended today. The rest is retained for the future, and Sahai can talk to that a little bit. There were 14 applications, and we're recommending 10. So we're recommending $215,000, 910. You also agreed for us to have some provision around the approval of grants under $5,000. And the idea with that was so that we could get you away from having to discuss the smaller kind of things that were going on. So there are 3 that we've already approved in consultation with Councillor Winera and Councillor Young. They've been signed off, and we've included in the report those 3 organisations. We are going to put some comms on our website around how we manage the traffic to that fund, because we've found that organisations are like thinking they can play both the over and the under. So the idea with the under 5K was it was for smaller one-off projects where they'd normally come in for smaller one-off projects rather than the same organisations coming into both. So we're just going to clarify the comms on that. And I think that's all I wanted to say, really. I mean, we can answer any questions you might have about the applicants or the money or anything, but I'll hand over to Sahai to talk through some other things.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge that the proposal for the $20,000 for the Māori Wardens linked back to the city safety plan that you signed off back in March, and it follows through the investment, I think it's Pillar 1, on the investment of our Pacifica patrols and our ethnic patrols and now the Māori Wardens. If anybody's been past or actually just active in the CBD over the last few weeks, you would have seen an uplift in Māori Wardens through the deployment plan that I've outlined in the paper. There's been a massive buzz and hum around the safety hub, Te Pokapū Hāpiri, with the Māori Wardens being based there and the patrols going out of there, but also importantly collaborating with the other systems that we've put in place through the safety, city safety and wellbeing plan overall. So whether it's working with our police beat team, our urban liaison team, the other patrols over those weekends, and then of course connectivity through what's going on the ground through the safety points, it's all kind of working seamlessly together. So this proposal for $20,000 goes towards that, but also I've signalled in this plan, and as Mark has expressed as well, is that future funding will look at how we can further support the Māori wardens and further support the deployment proposal that they've put in place, because it's a much bigger deployment plan that was initially signalled back in March when we approved the City Safety and Wellbeing Plan.
I can't speak and write at the same time.
Sure.
Councillor O'Neill, would you like to move the paper? Oh, sorry, questions. Sorry, questions. Councillor Brown. No, Councillor Foon. Deputy Mayor Foon.
Kia ora sahai. Te piringa mana tōpū. Very excited about that. I guess just a couple of questions there. What is the way that you'll keep us updated about the initiatives that are forthcoming, and probably just to understand if any of this funding is designated or will transfer over to the Newtown situation as well, particularly with the Salvation Army as well?
Oh, yes.
So Māori Wardens and Salvation Army, can any of those be spread into Newtown?
So specifically for this proposal, it's aimed at a focus on the CBD as per the plan originally. I have, through the relationship that we have with the Māori Wardens on the regional front, we've spoken about strategically how we place and cover wider city suburbs as needed, as I've outlined in the Newtown Action Plan. So it's not something that we just want to take and then put in without any kind of strategy aligned with that, and we need to do that carefully. Those talks are ongoing, but currently the deployment plan sits within the CBD focus. With the Salvation Army, we've proposed that this funding that you see before you is not only going to the Salvation Army, but with a focus on creating a much stronger strategic partner with the organisation, knowing that they are locally placed in Newtown and are key conduits with other key community stakeholders as we put that plan into action. In terms of updates, we are planning to have a councillor drop-in session later in September. We have I'm waiting for we've got a city safety forum and open day at Te Pokapū Hāpari that I want to use as part of that update to councillors, so I'll be doing that later in September, and of course when your diaries clear a little bit and just before the election. But of course, at any time, please do reach out, and I can absolutely update you on where we're at and send you any and talk you through any plans that are in place.
Sorry, I'm not trying to pretend to be the Iona Pannett of the Grants Committee by asking a question at every opportunity, but I have got a question, which is similar to Deputy Mayor Foon's, and that is, this does seem like exceptionally good value for money. I'm talking about the Māori Wardens Initiative. And so I think the measurability of the benefits would be very important, because if it is actually, I mean, it really is around the measurability. I mean, I'm hoping that you guys,
Councillor Brown,
will you be doing that?
Where's the question mark?
Well, it's kind of like, I'm just...
Value.
He's making the most of his life.
How are you going to measure this? How are you going to measure this?
Absolutely. And I think that a key part of the City Safety and Wellbeing Plan is how we measure impact on the ground through all the initiatives. As you know, some of these strategies and tactics, we're trialling them. The safety points are on trial. We're collecting data and input all the time so that we can actually see what the impacts are on the ground. We need time to do that as well, and a few weeks or a couple of months does not a trend make. So we are doing what we can with the input, with the data that we're gathering, to see what impacts are being made not only now, but how we can sustain that for the future.
And sorry, just to add, I mean, obviously the transition around that funding to the new model is how do the organisations we fund impact on our strategies? So the other part of that is the alignment of the priorities with the next LTP. So there's a bit of a longer game as well. So we're working with all those organisations to say, okay, we've given you the same funding as you had the year before. How does it impact on our strategies and the current priorities? So that's quite an important part of that.
Thank you. Any further? Just reminding you of your email last night. Was it you? Yes. That quick meeting.
Just really quickly, the funding for the food program work. Just what is the next opportunity where an outcomes will come back to council to report on that kaupapa and the strategy we've got in place there?
Do you want to answer to that?
I can answer that. There are two ways. We, ahead of the Te Atakura reporting, which I believe is quarterly, we reach out to a few of the organizations who are doing work under that program, just to get updates from them. And then we update on various other initiatives that we're developing. In terms of funded organizations, they'll primarily be covered under that, as well as their regular funding reporting, which they typically do twice a year. So a midterm report and a final year report. And then we'll also be getting updates from them during relationship monitoring meetings.
I like the idea of going through the chair to leave, but I get your point here. Thank you. Is there a mover for the motion? Oh, do you have to stay for the debate if you're moving it? Okay, so yeah, Councillor Foon, would you like to move the paper? And
I'm happy to move the paper.
Do you want to speak?
No.
Good. A seconder, second to Councillor Brown. Is there any debate? So there is just one thing I would like to say, which is just talking about the officer's recommendations, the Home of Compassion, which is an organisation I take a personal interest in. What is interesting is during COVID, they realised they couldn't have people there, so they started doing takeaway meals. And the council, they said to me, I met them on Sunday, was enormously supportive of this. And it was such a success that they realised there are some people who don't want to eat communally, and they are continuing the takeaway for people who need it. They're also aware that some women feel a bit intimidated by the Home of Compassion, and they're looking at an excellent alternative venue, which is still in the pipeline. It's built, they just have to get a hold of it, for women and children to keep them separate. So, I think it's interesting what they're doing. So there we are. So, right of reply? Oh, no. I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. 1 or 2, take your pick. And I declare it carried. So finally, we come to the decision register and upcoming reports, and I have spoken to Officer Roberts because I said we surely don't have any upcoming reports if we're coming to the end of our tether.
Council continues in perpetuity, Councillor.
I see. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Roberts to introduce the report, which we will take as read.
Thank you. Consider it introduced and tabled as a read.
Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Brown is doing his best to imitate Councillor Pannett today. Anyone else? Okay, right of reply. Oh, sorry, someone needs to move it.
I'll move it.
Oh, thank you. Councillor O'Neill will move it, and then seconded by Po'iwi. I'm going to get the ground the wrong way. Holden Hohara. Right of reply. Any debate? No, I think we've done that. Oh, there is debate. Sorry.
Sorry, Chair. I'm just using this opportunity to thank everybody because this is our last hui. So thank you, Chair Winera, thank you, Deputy Young, and thank you to my colleagues. I've really enjoyed this committee. It is not easy going, never having enough money to do all the things we want to do, but it is a way where we really understand all of the things that are going on in our city. So yeah, just thanks everyone for the mahi, love your work, and go on.
Councillor Brown.
In the spirit of the Deputy Mayor's comments, I would just like to actually compliment staff on the very good work which they put into this. I think, obviously, with the election ahead of us, and some people arguing the council should only spend money on pipes and potholes, I feel the money that goes through the grants is an enormous benefit to the City of Wellington and is a really important part of what council does. So any incoming people who are totally focused on potholes and pipes, I hope that they don't get involved in this, because I think this is actually of such great value to the city, and this is coming from the councillor who's voted against spending more than any other councillor. But I do think this is actually really money well spent.
I'll ignore that slightly contentious and debatable point about your savings, Councillor Brown. So I was going to say this at the end. I mean, this is a fantastic committee, first of all, because we're giving money out, but also the depth and breadth of knowledge, and the fact that, you know, I know that I can send a text or ring various people. I mean, poor Mark, you know, any hour of the day and night. Sahai, you know, always incredibly responsive. I am so grateful to you all for your help, because it's a difficult job allocating money when there are so many people, and you know, this is a fantastic committee to be on, much better than regs. So thank you. So thank you to the officers, and I hope that some of us who want to return will return, so we can continue working together. And those of us who are not returning, I'm sure we'll still hear from you as members of the public. Looking forward to Mr. Brown's public participation.
John Swain.
Swan. So have I got? Are we on to moving it? Oh, and sorry, Councillor Wanera.
Yes, I for one will not be looking forward to Councillor Brown's public contributions, but come they may. Look, I won't drag this out, but I think as the chair of the committee, I'll just give a brief address to the staff to express the thanks that I have for all of your assistance, and also to echo the thanks that's been shared around the table. Coming into this role, Councillor Young told me that this was the fun committee and it was the one to be on. And in fact, when I asked the mayor to be on this committee, it was based pretty much on Councillor Young's advice, and that advice has been more than borne out in the conduct of this committee. And the help that I've received as chair in the good running and good order of this committee has been much appreciated. I think it really is the most cheerful one that we have, and I think that is for good reason. It is well administered, well supported, and hopefully well conducted by all elected members. I think I can say it is. So thank you very much for all your help, and it's been a real pleasure being deputy chair and chair of this committee at various times. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. So where are we up to now? I'm completely not. Are we still? Is that questions?
Right of reply.
Right of reply.
Which is
I think that was it.
Oh, is it? Oh, yes, sorry. Okay, now put the motion which has been moved and seconded. 1, 2, not 3.
Yes.
I declare the motion carried. So, just before, so we've kind of said our thank yous, but I just want to say again, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. You know, we have terrific officer advice, and everyone, this is a great council because committee, because everyone's very collegial. There's no nastiness, which is great, and good luck to those who are standing again at the next election. Oh, it's only Laurie and me. Well, good luck to us. Oh, sorry. Yes, I do forget about online. I do forget, and to the mayor. So thank you for that. So now we will, at the conclusion of the meeting, I declare the meeting closed. Please join me in the karakia.
Unu hia ki te uru tapu nui, kia wātea, kia māmā te ngākau te tinana te wairua. I te ara takatū, koe rā e rongo whakairi ake ki runga, kia wātea, ai rā kua wātea.
Ai rā kua wātea.
Thank you, everybody.